Welcome back to the home studio and welcome to episode number 69 of the Stevie Richards Show. My name is Stevie Richards. I'm going to turn it over right away because we have an ill co-host this week and we want to make sure he gets in and out without any kind of discomfort. My co-host, James Romero. Wish him well.
Yeah, I know. Dude, I'm better than I was yesterday with Dutch. Bless Dutch, he got me through that day, I'll tell you. Right, yeah, we're going to do almost like a half TNA thing this week, and then we'll probably do the rest of the pre-Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff EV2 TNA stuff next week, unless something else comes up, because we always like to split stuff up here.
Well, I have a pet project I'm working on. I'm getting the notes together, and people know, we've mentioned it before, I really want to do an entire episode or series on Roddy Piper. That's my guilty thing of wanting to do that. I'm assembling the stuff, doing my James Romero research, and trying to put together something that we can put a full episode or multiple episodes together on that.
Dude, I'm going to publicly shame you now, I've decided, because I meant to bring this up earlier. When are you going to buy all your figures, the Jack-specific figures, so we can finally do the figures episode? I've been looking forward to that since we started this.
Well, I will take your shame, and I will up it by saying, today, CTE, because I forgot. I promise.
I haven't mentioned it
as soon as we're done recording this episode that you say we got to keep it under 2 hours, when it turns into 3 hours, 45 minutes today, after that, I promise I will order my own action figures. Maybe it's just like that. I don't want to look like a Mark type of thing. I'm ordering, because people are like, Stevie Richards Fitness. Wait, that looks familiar. He's ordering his own action figures.
Dude, you should just make a video and just screen record it and see how easy it is and how much it costs you. Or do it for this channel. Well, like if you go through eBay and buy them and just screen record that.
Oh, like a Maven video. I can steal one. I bought all my action figures off eBay or something. And I'm...
Dude,
that's a thumbnail right there.
You know, I've got 3 behind me of you in anticipation for this.
Okay, I promise I will do it. And maybe, depending upon if we get a good eBay seller that has fast shipping, I will have them for next week, and that might be next week's episode. How's that?
There was one I couldn't find, at least in the UK, anyway, so you'll have to hunt out. I don't know if it was the one with you with the black trunks with the little SR with the scratch logo thing. I think that might be the one I couldn't find.
That was the Stevie J. Heat one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one?
There
were 7, weren't there?
The 8, I think.
I thought there was 7, and then there's
Pete from Jack Specific.
Yeah. But I thought there was. Oh, well, I might be misremembering. I thought there was 7, and then there was one later on from one of the independent companies.
Well, yeah. I mean, the independent company was Epic Toys. I actually have one of those up there, so I'm off to a good start.
Good.
We have RTC Steven Richards with the black tie. Then there was one with a silver tie. Then there was the one with the stop sign. Then there's the one with the bag, because that's a rib on Jim and I leaving during the pay-per-view pyro. Daphne and myself, TNA, Epic Toys. So I'm missing one. I know I'm missing one out of that.
There's, I think,
yellow tights. The yellow tights too. The yellow trunks.
I was going to use the word repository, but I don't know how to use it in a sentence. It's like an online repository of action figures, I guess, or dolls.
Yeah.
But I think I've misused that word anyway. Right, okay, let's do the quick version of the intro that I never get through because it's never a quick version. PWTs, BWO, Blue World Order official t-shirts available in the link in the description, as well as Stevie Richards Show official merchandise. Please show your support, get yourself a t-shirt, etc. Stevie Richards fitness channel that you're still working on. What's the latest on the fitness?
Well, everything's good. I just there's a red light massage and also heat belt that I usually wear during the full episodes that I've reviewed. I'm actually working on the 30-day update on cold plunges, and my new cable machine will be here tomorrow. So my back, I will need the back massage, back brace thing as I assemble that. So yeah, lots of good stuff happening. I'm just working on the stuff, the James Romero nuts and bolts, trying to figure out how to get more views, subs, and all that stuff. I am near 100,000 subscribers on that channel, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we need to get that going as well. Right, the Stevie Richards cameo as well. Nothing to do with the show, we just like plugging it because it keeps doing better and better every single time. Last week, I made a call to people and said, if you got a cameo from Stevie, can you put in the comments that you did? Quite a few people did, saying, basically the same thing. The best cameo I've ever received, or I got this for special occasion or something, and you went above and beyond, and the reason why Stevie gets so many orders and the reason why he's got so many 5-star reviews and is one of the most requested people on the entire platform is because he does indeed go above and beyond for everybody who plonks down their hard-earned money for a cameo from Stevie Richards. He does the research on you, gives you way more time than you probably think you'll get as well, so please consider once again making an order from the cameo. And also just having a look at it. I mean, do yourself a favour. If you've been on the fence, have a look at it and look at all the reviews. And then there is the Stevie Richards Patreon as well. We watched last week, or this week, I'm sorry, as this comes out. We recorded it last week. Jenna Maraska versus Sharmell, for goodness sake. That was my suggestion. I'm sorry. And we're continuing the TNA theme. Coming up this Monday is a good match. Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle, their first meeting, TNA Genesis 2006. And the one thing that really struck me is, boy, that match was shorter than I thought. It was like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was, but I'm telling you what, they made every second, every millisecond count in that match. And I believe that was probably the best build-up for any match ever in TNA. You can argue with me about that, but at the time, that put TNA seemingly on the next level as far as like what they had there. And you actually gave me a great Easter egg on who was behind, because I said, man, this is so simple, so easy to build, and you really didn't know who was going to win or how they were going to win the match and who was responsible for the story.
Dutch. And the thing is that I think the two best things that ever came out of TNA in that time period was the women's division and the Samoa Joe Kurt Angle feud, and they were both Dutch because they were so simple and taken seriously, and that's it. I mean, I don't know what it is about wrestling and creative types who want to get involved in wrestling, but man, why does everyone want to remake the wheel? I don't get it.
Isn't that what's going on right now in 2025?
It's what's going on in the last 30 years.
A lot of the most successful stuff, like even Kurt pulling down the straps, is a Jerry Lawler thing from Memphis. Everything for a time, the things that people remember as moments and memories were either directly rehashed from Memphis or the early territory days, or they just took that foundation and put a different spin on it. It really is just kind of, you reinvent stuff for the modern era or modern culture. You put the little current event spin on it, and here we are. And people don't do that anymore.
Right then, let us get on to...
No, let us plug one more thing.
Oh, is this Patreon Plus stuff or something else?
No, this is List Mania. That you need to check out List Mania. You have some stuff. And we actually came up with a few ideas on Patreon that you really lit up for. So please subscribe to List Mania. That's growing, as you say, strength to strength. And you're going to actually try to increase the output weekly to 2 videos a week, which is going to be pretty awesome. Yeah,
I know you can't really read this because it's really bright. Hang on. Can I lower the brightness down on that? Will it show?
Go in the dark mode.
So this is just my notes of the last couple of weeks for List Mania stuff. There you go. I will refresh those notes every couple of weeks and put them onto my computer, but I just go nuts for ideas. And we're going to be putting, hopefully 2 videos a week out. Getting more editors involved. Well, I don't know if we're getting more editors involved at the moment. We may well be doing soon, but we're getting, people helping with the writing, helping with the script writing, helping with thumbnails as well. So I can do thumbnails to a point, but I've got someone involved who does better thumbnails than me. So I'm going to try and make this.
Please let me talk to that person.
Oh yeah, will he? Oh yeah, I'll give you his details. Absolutely.
Please do.
Right then. Right, let's get into TNA. And speaking of, because we were speaking off air about Maven, the guy who stole your studio idea.
No, we worked together on it.
Oh, did you actually?
Just to full disclosure, yeah, I was putting him in a whole bunch of new, he was going to be underneath in so much debt if he all the production equipment I recommended to. He's like, wait a minute, I just need a microphone and some kind of lighting or whatever. I go, no, you need all this. And I was putting box trusses and telling him to put auto poles up there with lighting and everything. But I dig him the idea about the panels. I said he can definitely benefit from these types of panels.
Oh, dude, when I had the idea of setting up a bigger studio, I've sort of gone off that idea now because of the expense and just the logistics. But I was going to get what do you call them? One of them automatic panning, basically a
slider. I'm getting one of those,
slider,
a slider. Yeah, because as you're talking, it'll slide across and kind of get a little different angle. The problem with the sliders are, unless they're so far away and you're using kind of a telephoto lens or something mid-range, you're going to hear that the motor going back and forth.
So one of the many reasons that everyone has discounted that idea for now. Anyway, I thought we've stolen this from Maven as far as a video topic, but we didn't, because you did it on the Old Analysis channel before Maven did, and that is, what does it feel like to go into Thumbtacks? Am I right in saying that you did this originally?
This was the what does it feel like was kind of an idea for a category that I had in the beginning of the old channel. It was, what does it feel like to be speared by Goldberg? What does it feel like to go into Thumbtacks? Then it was like the table bump. There was a bunch. Those were the three main ones that people wanted to know. By the way, Maven kind of did the ultimate, like, what does it feel like on a video that I wanted to react to. I don't know if we're going to do it in this episode, but he took like everybody's finishes at Kurt Hawkins' school, Brian Myers. So my God, he got his butt handed to him. I was like, oh my God, it's a lot. It's more finishes than I took in my entire career. Well, maybe not. I might be exaggerating that.
Well, in a row.
In one night, yeah. Yeah. To the disappointment of Vince McMahon, yes.
Right, let's get to it. Let's do the build-up first. So, Abyss would put you into Thumbtacks at TNA Sacrifice after Daphne's match. Did you have to be talked into taking this? Because I imagine, whatever you call them, Thumbtacks, push pins, various different names for them. Is this the kind of thing that you have to really G yourself up to do? Did you have to be convinced into doing this spot? Or was this something you've always wanted to do? As a former ECW wrestler, of course.
Well, that has nothing to do with this. This is not something I've always wanted to do, but you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to give the best impression and kind of pay my dues all over again to TNA, because I was very much in that first 6 months or however long in a probationary tryout period. And usually the way contracts worked, you were going to ask a question?
I was just going to interrupt and say, I'm sorry. I don't think people realize that you didn't wrestle for months in the build-up to the first match, yeah. No,
July, the Victory Road in July, where the infamous Charmel and Jenna match happened, the same show, that was my first match. It was all vignettes, then on cameras, and then interacting and doing all that stuff. Yeah, they really did stretch that out to a good point. And I was working out in the ring. So last week when we analyzed the 6-sided ring, that's when I was getting familiar with it during this time. But going back to the Thumbtacks, you have to understand, I was trying to put my best foot forward. I was trying to be a part of the roster. I was trying to pay my dues. And I was also trying to get politically favored in a way where when that 6-8 months or however long came up, that I would get a good structured contract with a guarantee. So doing these things leading up to whatever that point was, we're going to get to that because it didn't work out. As Hogan, Bischoff, Rob Van Dam, Jeff Hardy keep walking by me, I see the dollar signs, the dollar amount just keep going down. But I volunteered to do this. I insisted on doing this because it was right for the story. If you think back, that match in Philly between Matt Morgan and Abyss, Matt Morgan gave him the finish and threw him into the Thumbtacks. So this was a callback to that. So just to give you a little bit of context with the finish, it was presented in a way that I was starting to abuse Abyss. It was becoming apparent that I was not his friend to other people. I was trying to act like I was his friend, professional therapist. This moment here was basically telling him to chokeslam Taylor Wilde into the Thumbtacks. And then the next thing happened, what I volunteered to do. Aha was backstage. I was trying to impress him.
Any preparation? Can you prepare your back for this kind of thing? Can you do any preparation or like mitigate the shock or the pain of it?
The only way you can prepare yourself, and this is the only way I applied to it, was pure and utter ignorance and not knowing what the feeling was going to feel like. Nobody clued me into it, and I didn't want anybody to. I knew it was going to hurt, but I wasn't quite sure the feeling that I was going to feel, which was an absolutely new feeling that I never felt before in my life. and never wanted to feel again, but I had to feel it again at Bound for Glory when I reffed the match. It was not fun. But here, what I'm looking at too is, obviously these thumbtacks or push pins, as you call them, they are going to penetrate the skin. There is going to be blood. I'm wearing a white shirt, so the visual of that is going to be really, really, really strong. Not to mention, what a jerk. You're telling this big monster to put this little girl into the thumbtacks. And it was a female monsters ball match, so it was part of the match. But what a jerk. So it was like the perfect storm to finally get what I deserved for that moment.
Does the adrenaline counteract the pain? Basically what I'm saying is, it'll feel icky, it'll feel weird. Does it feel worse when you get to the back?
It doesn't feel worse when you get to the back. I'm telling you what, the only thing I can, and you can see if Chris is B-rolling this in, when I hit and my mouth feels like like I look like a, what do they call it? Like a wide mouth bass when I hit it, because my mouth contorted into a real, like the pain receptors, everything. The one word I can describe it by is nauseating. I almost vomited, and that probably would have made it better, but disgusting. I almost vomited into the air when I hit. It was like nerve endings, pain receptors. My legs went numb for a half a second from the shock. It hurt so much worse. And you got to think too, Abyss, who I told to do this because I didn't want just a gentle, I said, you got to drive me 911 style into the thumbtacks, because I knew when I was airborne, my temptation was to look back, and my temptation would be to hang on and not want to take the bump just instinctively. Dude, I don't know what hurt worse, the actual bump or the thumbtacks, because he drove me with everything he had with that.
Did Abyss give you any, I mean, I don't know what tips he could give you, but did he give you any tips of how to take it? Because he's obviously done it quite a few times.
I think he said, oh, no, it's not too bad. It doesn't hurt. You damn liar.
Dare I say, he's got a bit more meat on the bone than you have. Does it make a lot of difference when, you know? It
doesn't make a lot of difference. Meat on the bone means it's still penetrating your skin. It's not like it's hitting your vertebrae or anything. But man, if I knew, like, wrestlers are so blessed. Like, we didn't sterilize. I did on the Bound for Glory match. We'll get to that. Nobody sterilized those thumbtacks or anything. I could have got a spine infection then. I could have got a staph infection, anything whatsoever. Wrestlers play it fast, and it wasn't the first match. So there was sweat on the mat and bodily fluids. There might have been blood from a previous match. Who knows?
Yeah, well, that's what I was kind of going to ask. Now you've got like 100 cuts all over your body, and you're on a ring canvas that's been used thoroughly, to use a word. I'm surprised you didn't get, more people don't get infections. I mean, people do get infections, or ringworm, or whatever it might be, or staph if it gets really bad. Or, there's even worse infections out there. But yeah, were you not somebody who was ever particularly bothered about that, or the potential consequences?
Well, I was very lucky. The first thing is that I'm wearing a shirt. So when we get the removal part of this segment, it makes it easier than just bare skin. You can just assume, but it doesn't hurt any less on the removal. It's like a Band-Aid all at once. We'll get to that. But wearing the shirt and not being involved in the match physically, as far as me sweating as well, without a shirt on, that made it a little bit easier. And also, of course, went right to the back, got it off, and then got peroxide, just poured all over my back. It wasn't cuts. It was 100 punctures in my back with that. So, and there was a lot of blood, a lot more than I thought. Even I have a picture that I'll try to send to Chris of me looking over my shoulder with the tacks in my shirt. Dude, it's a lot more blood than I thought it would be. Yeah, I thought it'd be like a little, like when you prick your finger if you're diabetic and you got to get the insulin thing. But it was like, I don't know. It was like the bed of nails type thing, but worse.
Did it show through? Because I'm drawing a blank on. I remember seeing you take it without a top on, But did it show through the white shirt, quite well?
Yeah.
The blood.
Yeah, the white on the blood through it. Because as a matter of fact, the one thing I was aware of, I was in shock. That those moments when I went like this and screamed, but then I realized I had told the handheld guy, please stay tight on me. I'm going to try to roll over on my left shoulder, which, by the way, I rolled over into tax. So, yeah, I was like, thank God I rolled away because they shot in the cinematic, the cinematic like packages. They shot with that cinematic camera and the regular TV camera. But I rolled over, and when I did it, I was like, oh, F. like I was selling the rollover as much as the choke slam, but it wasn't in the camera.
What's the best kind of... I know you've done it twice, but what's the best kind of bump to take into tax? Is it just as flat as you can, or... I mean... The best type is when someone is body to body with you. Black hole slam was easier than the choke slam because you're way up here taking your own bump. Would Abyss black hole slam me, or if someone tries to, like, say, the Mark Henry slam or something like that, it's easier because you take it, it hurts, but there's literally no, like, your life flashing before your eyes as you're in midair. Like, they're driving you through it. It's over before you realize it. The Abyss one was harder in a way, but easier because it's just like, you bounced off and then you're turned over sideways rather than taking the full bump yourself. I don't know how that makes sense, but there's no easy or painless way to take it. But if you don't have a choice and the person's got a hold of you, like, okay, I'm along for the ride now. So before I know what you want me to get to, but I'll get there in a second. Does it hurt anywhere worse? Because I was thinking, man, if you got a tack in your elbow, where like your funny bone is, man, that seems like the worst place to get it. That's just me thinking. But spine, arms, upper back, lower back, elbows, legs, where do you feel it most?
I felt it most on the rollover because it was my forearm and elbow. It was having the meat on the bone, like you said, does help, especially if you're hitting the bony areas of that. But I think the worst place would be like, where was it where I think it was during the ref match? Oh, I got it. We're going to watch this on Patreon, I think even next week or something. When Abyss counted with my hand, there were thumbtacks. And I acted like I was dead, and the thumbtacks were going into my hand on each count of the 3 count. And it hurt worse than the black hole slam.
Oh, dear.
It's like a splinter. When you get a splinter in your finger, it just is annoying for days, but it hurts so much.
You probably cut this out the clip, but I'll just tell you this. I've had a pin in my hand. Someone put a pin on my chair in school and put it on, and my habit was I put my hand on the chair first and I just went straight through.
So it was like Con Air, where they had the thing.
Yeah, so it went straight through, and I didn't feel it at all. It was bizarre.
Oh.
But I just remember looking at it.
Side of your hand?
No, it was only a short needle, thankfully. But
good God, man!
I know. Anyway, that's school for you. Oh, I know. I was 10. Anyway, is there pain after the fact, or is it? Did I ask this before? Is it more painful after the fact, and also is it more just an annoyance having them taken out of you because it takes so long? And you also said it was easy with the t-shirt, so I guess you can just pull the t-shirt and get most of them out that way.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's a spoiler right there. Does it hurt less? No, it's a Band-Aid. You're ripping a huge Band-Aid off your back via the dress shirt in my case. And I remember walking to the back after that, and a few people clapped because, like, what do we expect this WWE coming in? This guy coming in, is he going to want to do business the way we do business? It's very much a locker room thing. So when I got appreciation from some of the guys who had watched that. And I remember Terry Taylor would pull me up as I still had the thumbtacks, went up to Russo, and he's like, "Hey man, we're gonna have to pay this guy soon. He's really like part of the locker room or part of the team." Russo's like, I know, he did a great job. Told him I did a great job, and he goes, "Now let's get them out of your back," because I think they were filming or taking pictures of me taking it out back. I'm not sure who did it. It might have been Terry. I was like, well, how do you do this? And he goes, like this. And he just pulled my shirt. I went, oh my God. Like when Sandman got caned on that house show by me. Oh my God. I did more than that as far as swearing, and I was like, are they all out? And he goes, I don't think so. And he was trying to put the shirt back against me. No. I tore the buttons off the shirt. I was like, no. I know.
You could tell it was his first time.
Wrestlers are mean too.
Did TNA have a permanent trainer or someone like that in the back who would help wrestlers with injuries and whatnot?
Yeah, I believe so. I can't recall the person's name. They had people on hand at times, and that was the person that brought the peroxide, and I asked them just pour it on my back, which there were people asking, like, why do you have peroxide being poured in your back? And I go, you're definitely one of the boys. If you don't understand basic medical triage after that.
Well, amazingly, the next question is, has anybody thought of boiling the tacks first to disinfect them as best as possible? And you said you did the second time, which is far more considerate than most wrestlers would be.
I assumed the first time that there was somebody to sterilize. Then I realized I was not in WWE anymore. And maybe they didn't do it there. But yeah, I said, well, man, at least they were sterilized. And somebody went, huh? Sterilized? Okay. All right. Understood. And then when we got to Irvine, California, I think I went to the CVS or something. And I just poured, they were still in the bag. I just poured the peroxide right into the bag, shook it up. We're good to go. Put it out onto the ring myself, so nobody had anything to do with it after that. Because, some wrestler's going to think they're funny and pee in the bag or do some goofy stuff to it.
What, and kill you with an infection?
Yeah, that's funny in wrestling, isn't it?
I'll probably take that personally. Sabu told me last year, I think, it's the one thing he wasn't down with trying was thumbtacks. This is Sabu saying it. I mean, he's done barbed wire and glass and everything else, but he just went, dude, that's too gnarly for me. And he never did thumbtacks for whatever reason. And I found that so fascinating that was his line in the sand. But it wasn't your line in the sand as well.
So somehow I'm crazier than Sabu or less smart than Sabu. I mean, I can admit that he was pretty smart guy in some ways. So he's so funny. I got to keep saying that. We did the tribute. It was episode 62, I believe. So we still miss Sabu. He was so unintentionally funny with that because he could have just been saying that. That's thumbtacks. Nope. Yeah, he wasn't into TNA. Maybe I wish he had mentioned that to me. Like, dude, I couldn't even watch it go through the thumbtacks. It was just, I felt like, dude, you're Sabu. That's what I felt like. Say if that conversation had taken place, like a Dutch story, I can make pretend the conversation actually took place. Dude, I love the story with Vader, the 38. He wrote me in. I was like, did he really do that? I watched the Dutch clip when he worked Vader.
Yeah.
He said he pulled out a 38 and put it in. He goes, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. And then he goes, no, that never happened.
I think I just spent too much time with Dutch. I know when he's launching into a story.
Dude, so he got me, brother.
Okay, well, what's the psychology, do you imagine, that Sabu's more than happy to do barbed wire but not thumbtacks? What's the difference?
I think it's somewhat selective insanity, if that's a term. Maybe he might have been a kid and he might have been in school like you, and somebody put the thumbtack on his seat and he sat in it, and now he's done.
Why did you see, and I don't know if you can watch it now, just pull it up and find it yourself. I didn't send you the video, and we can B-roll it in. A fan at an AEW show like a year or two ago, there was like some sort of multi-man hardcore match in AEW. And Ibushi, after the camera stopped rolling, there was thumbtacks on the canvas. For whatever reason, he just took a bump into the thumbtacks after the match was over, then got up and gave everyone a big thumbs up and walked off.
Hey, that sounds about right.
Did you see that?
Yes. Did you see the one, and you could B-roll this in, Chris, I encourage you, because nobody will ever believe that it happened, and you're bringing it up. Kota Ibushi, on some outdoor independent show, takes those Roman candle fireworks things and puts them into his trunks as he's standing on top of a car. Am I wrong? Did I imagine this in another universe? Is this a Mandela effect? Okay.
No, it happened. It happened.
So I think the thumbtacks is pretty tame as far as explosives in your genital area. I know, I rubbed my face too.
Why would a wrestler, and I know why a wrestler would do it, I know this is a rhetorical question pretty much, but why would you just have to go out and just totally expose one of the few things people can believe are completely real in wrestling? Like, why try and just give away every single trick in the bag?
I don't know. I mean, this has happened. I'm only going to give one incident that goes along with this, and you already know what I'm going to talk about. You're looking it up. Teddy Hart, ROH, diving off the cage repeatedly and taking his own bumps and just wrestling the Invisible Man and diving outside on the Invisible Man, doing 450s off the cage. I mean, I can't think of it, but I have to think there's been times that would be cool, or WWE has done this. You want to talk about exposing the business? WWE has done comedy hours with their top guys that people take seriously for the house after the show goes off the air. Like almost every week. They still do it. They do the ha-ha, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like that to me, they're already left happy with a dark match. Let them leave happy. Or just don't even have the dark match. I don't understand why they've always done that. To me, that's always been the self-serving popping the boys afterwards. And I have to think that's a Kota Ibushi thing. I want to pop the boys, or I want to get off on going through thumbtacks for no good reason.
Yeah, that one was one that really got me. The reason why they started doing dark matches after like Raw or anything is so they could advertise the main event is Steve Austin versus The Rock. And basically they just, after the camera stopped rolling, they do that match. 6 minutes, keep it nice and easy, something for the fans, then they go home. It's basically something they could advertise as a mega main event that they actually wouldn't put on TV. And then from there, it spiraled into the, promos back and forth and the Spinaroonie contest and everything else.
And also that's where Vince sent people out to give pretty much an untrained wrestler, Jonathan Coachman, all this like finishes. Remember? Taker came out, everybody came out, and he said, I have to do this, or this comes down from the boss. To me, that's stupidity. And then the Ibushi thing is stupidity. And me going through thumbtacks is stupidity. It's all stupid, as Jim Cornette would say, right?
To wrap up the thumbtack thing then, do you regret it? Or are you sort of glad that you did it because, I don't know, what did you get out of it ultimately?
No, I don't regret it. I mean, like I said, we're going to get to this point, and we did it in the full WSI interviews in the past. I had to do these things to kind of get initiated into the TNA locker room, to show I wanted to do business, to show Jeff, Russo, Dixie, Terry Taylor, The Office, that I wouldn't be a disagreeable person about things. Now, if it's beyond the pale, obviously, but I was in a storyline with a guy who did hardcore things. It involved thumbtacks. I abused this guy and took everything away, much like the right to censor, stripped away all the violence. And much like with the right to censor, what ended up happening? The Dudleys put me through a table. So this was kind of an analogy to that. Would I do it again? No, but I did it for the sake, really did it for the sake of one of those structured deals with guarantees where I could earn a full-time living. And guess what? Here's a spoiler. Didn't work out. But that's the chance I was willing to take at the time with this pretty much very violent angle with a violent character.
Just because you said approval, was there anyone in particular you wanted approval from in TNA, or just the office in general?
Whoever controlled the money.
Yeah.
How's that?
Right, let's move
It's
on.
not approval. It's not so much approval as, okay, he's part of the team. He's not just some WWE guy coming in trying to get over here to go back to WWE, which, basically I said last episode, that's what every guy was trying to do. Every girl was trying to do in a way. But it'd be great to make a really good living here while I'm here, and maybe quality of life over what WWE was offering, people would have stayed. I know Sting chose it for a bunch of different reasons, but it had to be a lot of money, but not a lot of work.
I think, how Maven has done, I think it's his most popular video, it's done like nearly 5 million views. Just so everyone knows, because Maven ripped off your video concept with the thumbtack thing, I'm going to rip off his thumbnail and put it as the thumbnail for this video. Aha.
Yeah,
you smart ass.
But I also want to steal his video and say that with permission. Everybody, all of us use each other's stuff with permission. When he took all the finishers, I want to react to that. So even if we do it as a standalone YouTube clip, and I admonish him heavily as a friend because he has a bad back. I'm like, what is this? What is this guy doing?
Well, future episode. Hey, I pitched, and you didn't want to do it at the time. Maven did it first, and we were just going to do concepts from stuff that Maven had already done, and then just basically do the same topics. But we should do that and open with that, react to one of his videos, and that one.
Okay. I mean, before you put it into light that he stole a bunch of my content, I didn't want to do it, but now
yeah. Well, you did it first. There you go. Right, let's move on. Raven returns to your side. Well, actually, not returns to your side. He's at your side rather than you being at his side for all those years, WWF, ECW, etc. So the follow-up with all this is that Raven ends up saving you in the ring from Abyss on an episode of Impact, and 14 years later, you're back with Scotty Flamingo himself, Raven. Was this the plan all along to bring Raven back into the fold, or was it just kind of happenstance and history and a last-minute thing? Well, hey, you're from ECW, you're from ECW, you're a team, smartass.
Hey, you're a doctor and you're a patient. You're going to be a team. So, no, I don't think when they brought Dr. Stevie in, they were like, here's the grand plan. We want to bring this guy back that, quite frankly, gives us migraines every single time we talk to him. Because Raven has a great mind, but also Jeff Jarrett and Raven, no ha-ha between them. They did not like each other.
Explain that then.
This goes back to the weekly pay-per-views. This goes back to the era where Raven finally won the NWA World title, which I contend should have happened a lot sooner. He had a ton of momentum way before that, but him and Jeff did not like each other. Maybe because two great minds, two people that have booking minds, and they all are too similar to each other. That's my guess. I don't know. I just know they did not like each other.
Dutch said the same thing. It's like, damn, just let me come up with creative and you just do it. It's like, but as you alluded to there, Raven just had two and just being too difficult.
Yeah, make it a tag. Make it a tag. We're already a tag, Raven. Get a third person. So that you two can take the bumps. But no, here, in all seriousness, but yeah, I am serious. Like you just said, Dutch, him and Jeff from past. So him coming back in, for all I know, I may have been the only one really happy about it. And I was really happy about it because things run their course to a certain extent without bringing people from other parts. And really, when you talk about the history between Raven and myself and putting a different spin on it with different characters and different people involved in it, but then some of the same people like Mick Foley involved with it, it brings a new fresh coat of paint on it. And also, when I saw, there was no chance Dr. Stevie was going to win a singles title. But you bring Raven in, there might be a chance they give us the tag belts and have it carry it as a stable with that. So I was and once again, these steps are leading me towards, hey, I'm a more valuable asset to the company. I'm a more valuable heel to get baby faces over. Now you have Raven here. Now there's an act together. Maybe I will get a full-time deal. Maybe I will get a guarantee, a downside guarantee. I'm thinking of very much a business sense, but Raven and I, for all the personal strife we might have had and still have to this day, dude, it's magic in the ring. We have great chemistry. And you put those little touches on that, Dr. Stevie instead of Stevie Richards. Now we're equals instead of mentor, protege, or lackey. It's enough. There's enough difference to create a whole new level of interest in it. And yes, I was super happy and super excited to have Scotty back.
I saw it as a fan kind of the different way. I saw him basically as your subordinate at that point. And there's two reasons for that. One, you were the far more interesting character in 2009. You were the main antagonist to Abyss. Secondly, Raven, like in the early 2000s NWA, he was wearing the kilt thing. He was in great shape. And then in the mid 2000s, he was doing like the serotonin thing, and it wasn't hitting right. I didn't think it was that good of an act, and he was in and out constantly. He was gone for a while before he came back, maybe a year, I think. And the other thing is that Raven wasn't in as good a shape as he was 5 years earlier, and it was really obvious physically. So I always saw you as the main guy, and him being almost your lackey at that point. Is that how you saw it, or at least you hope people saw it, I guess.
No, I didn't want to see that, but there was a tiered relationship that never got kind of fleshed out in any way. And that was, I was the doctor, and Raven was another insane patient of mine. We had Abyss, Daphne, then Raven, but we never touched on that. We just became a team. But we became a team, but it was the stuff in ECW, and I always want to say this in context with the fact that we talked about how we didn't get along personally. We're two different people. We're still two very different people. But man, when we got in the ring, when we cut promos together, the way we interacted, even in TNA, and I think especially in TNA, because I was much more comfortable being Michael Manna at that point, so I got a chance to actually enjoy it with the perspective. So that was an even more fulfilling team up and gimmick or act for us than the ECW one. And yes, I thought, man, even if we just have the tag titles for a little bit, man, that could be really, we would both run back to the photography place and take the picture, and then we're at the conventions with it. By the way, I don't know if we're getting to this, but since we're speaking about the team, probably the most disappointing part, the part of the beginning of the end of Raven and Dr. Stevie, or Dr. Stevie and Raven, was that first live Impact on Monday nights competing with Raw, where we got squashed in 30 seconds by Matt Morgan and Hernandez, I believe, right?
We will be getting to that. Oh, people hate this. Future episode, take a drink. We will be getting to that. Don't you worry about that. I know some people say, and don't do aha, and what are you, a smart ass? There's one or two people say, stop it. Consider yourself blocked. Now,
did Raven... I just say, I'll show you. That's all I'll say.
Did Raven start doing, I guess, the creative Raven thing and start pitching ideas for the Dr. Stevie character?
No, he was obsessed with me growing a mustache. That's all he wanted the whole time in TNA, grow a mustache, because it worked out great for Cody Rhodes. No, that's all he ever said. Wear a ring jacket, I got a lab coat. You listen, kid. Of course, Raven, dude, this is the problem with people that don't. Now, I have perspective. Back then, of course, I probably got annoyed as well. You have to take it for what it's worth. He's trying to make it better. Of course, he's trying to make it better for himself too, but he's trying to make it better. So if you get past the personality conflicts, all he's trying to do is make whatever segment, act, finish, match, promo, the best that he knows how to make it. Now, of course, that always makes Raven the hero of the story or the top heel, but you got to temper that. And with me, Raven never tried to boss me around or say, if anything, he would tell me more than he told me ever. He's like, man, he goes, you really are underrated and good, and you do great work. He would give me the encouragement that he would never really give me much in ECW. Maybe he was just being political. Maybe he thought I had some kind of stroke, which, I didn't enjoy the show. So we were in it together. We were just as much pariah as the others. So
was he on the same deal as you as well?
I don't know about that. I have to assume he came in under a nightly kind of prove it deal, but I don't know. I'm hoping, Raven deserved to get money. I mean, if he was under a guaranteed deal and I wasn't, I wouldn't be mad. What's that do?
Now, I don't know if I've got my times mixed up here. It says here, you would hit Abyss with a chair, but got struck for a chokeslam before Raven saved you, and it would end with Abyss giving Raven the black hole slam into the thumbtacks, but it felt like a blow-off for Raven here. Do you think... I mean, really, he'd be in and out, Raven, a couple of times during this, because I believe after Slammiversary, June 21st, Raven's name would be taken off the TNA website, and then he'd disappear for several months, and then he'd come back again. So, do you know why Raven was sort of in and out through 2009 at this point?
No, I would just have to assume that he might have annoyed Dutch, Russo, Jeff, Dixie. No, it's just my assumption of he was fully immersed 24/7 into the business and whatever he was doing. I don't know about the timeline. All I know is I can give this kind of context right here. When Raven debuted with Mick Foley was involved. This has started the whole thing leading up to the Funhouse match that we had at Final Resolution. I was basically in the match with Abyss. If Abyss beat me, I had to leave TNA. Abyss hit me with the black hole slam. 1, 2, lights out. Lights come back on. The ref is out, and I crawl on top of Abyss. 1, 2, 3, I beat Abyss. Mick's on commentary, and then I'm putting Abyss's head into the chair. And Mick comes in, hits me a few times, bumps me, and he grabs the chair. Lights go out again. Lights come up. Raven hits him with the fireball. So, which he sells longer than Damian Priest, by the way. Damian Priest, fresh as a daisy, 1 week later. So that could be a what went wrong because that was stupid. But then I remember the shot I really love of Raven and myself. Raven's got the crucifix. Daphne's in front, and I hug Raven with this psychotic look, and they have our faces with him. I always wanted that to be kind of like our 8x10 for a bit. It was just such a cool moment. Then we did the thing with Mick, where Mick was looking for us. I was behind the door, and I slammed the door as hard as I could in the side of Mick's head, and we strangled Mick in the promo. So the whole thing, and that was leading up to the tag match that, it was on the opening where Mick put me through the table as I was wrapped in barbed wire. But I don't remember the pause. Like, that was a run right there. And then the pause where Raven went away was after that, right?
All I have is late June. He seems to disappear, and then he comes back in November.
So he came back in November in time for the December pay-per-view match, correct?
Yeah, Final Resolution. That was you and Raven against Abyss and Mick Foley. And
then EV2 not long after that, by the summer.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much the run. I mean, so much happens in such a... Here's a question. Did you worry that you were going to end up being typecast as a hardcore wrestler because you were doing so many of these things with other well-known hardcore wrestlers?
Yeah, but I also had a path in my mind of I didn't know what order it was going to be, but there were going to be wrestlers I wanted to work as Dr. Stevie and get them over. I had a short thing with the Motor City Machine Guns when I was doing the Bounty, and I wanted to work both of those guys because I had Alex and Chris Sabin. I love those guys personally. Those guys have always been super cool, and also they were really tight with Okada. And that's when I started teaching Okada a little bit of the American style. We ended up having that match on Explosion. So they called it Implosion because I won the match. So, But I looked at it, Kurt Angle, the Motor City Machine Guns, all the baby faces that I saw on the roster. I needed to do the hardcore stuff because that's what Abyss was. Then sort of go, and I was getting into better shape. I was off the prednisone after a while because I was on that for my lung disease. So the bloat and all that stuff started. By Final Resolution, you could see I had shed all that water weight from the prednisone, and I finally felt like I was starting to become the wrestler I was before.
Very quickly as well, you went from being a doctor at this point to just Stevie Richards. One, you stripped of your doctorate. And also, did you get hauled in front of the medical board? I got held in front of Dixie Carter's Flavor of the Month bulletin board. Hell's that? Not the doctor's board. Don't even start. That was one of my things I hated the most. Not the actual thing, but you took all the investment of time and money and effort of creating this character and erasing, hopefully, most of the last character from WWE. And you put me right in the same spot. Stupid. Where's the timeline for that?
It happened within like a week. Once they announced a Hardcore Justice pay-per-view or that the ECW reunion thing was happening, this was one of the only, you want to talk about refusing, like you would like the Thumbtacks. I had done all that and I felt good because I never ever said no to anything. As a matter of fact, I volunteered before they told me to do it. I thought I had enough, not cachet, but enough of, how should I say, of a body of work in TNA with my interactions with Jeff, Dixie, Dutch, Cornette, Russo, everybody in the office, and also appealing to the fact that, hey, you guys created this character. You guys took the stink of Stevie Richards off. You guys created essentially a viable heel for your baby. This is exactly the way I put it. You guys did this. Why would you want to destroy all that hard work and effort and, dare I say it, success on creating the character to go back to something they remember to be a jobber? Why would you do that? Let's just get through this month. That's what Dixie said. I was like, oh my God, I might as well just go back there and have a downside.
We're going to explore that once again, future episode, I'm sorry to say. We're going to move on. Samoa Joe.
No, you're not.
Are we not?
You're not sorry to say it.
No, I'm not sorry to say it. Well, we're going to save it for the EV2 episodes. Goodness me, it's like this TNA thing. This stretches on for weeks and weeks, so we've got tons of content. Samoa Joe.
We got 3 parts out of the fabulous 4 months of WCW. I was there 2 years. They could get 20 parts out of this.
I know you're really surprised. I think you're surprised how much I can stretch out of quite a small amount of like.
Well, but you're not
like
buying
content.
time. You're just bringing up very, very the idiosyncrasies. There's another word on nuance and details, but all the little stuff that kind of I brushed over, but it is kind of important stuff.
It's the most interesting stuff. Anyone can say, anyone can look at a match and just go, "What was that like?"
What are your memories?
Hey, yeah, what are your memories of? Yeah, go watch RF video if you want surface level crap. Anyway, they don't even do it anymore, I don't think. Right, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is rebranded in his new Samoan gimmick. He's got this new costume. It is not flattering. At some point, he has that willy tattoo face paint thing as well. What is it about Samoa Joe that TNA could look a gift horse in the mouth? I mean, for the Patreon watchers, we watched Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. It's the most watched pay-per-view, the most purchased pay-per-view in TNA's history. And the reason is they kept it simple. They made them both badasses. How can you not make them both badasses? But it's like TNA, after a while, seemed to go out of their way to devalue Samoa Joe to the point that he's tailor-made main event, material that they seem to hold down. And I never understood it. What say you on that whole thing?
Well, we just talked about the Dr. Stevie character and how they kind of destroyed that. Well, you didn't destroy the Samoa Joe character. You created a whole new crappy one that he didn't even need in the first place, right? Being Samoa Joe was enough. It was enough in ROH. It was enough in TNA, especially in the Kurt Angle phase of it. And also with AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels in that 3-way match. We'll do that on Patreon as well. WWE, to a degree, got Samoa Joe right when they let him be Samoa Joe. I don't get it.
Is this writer interference? This is almost like sometimes writers or bookers feel like they have to justify their paycheck and like come up with, stuff that isn't required. It's like no gimmicks needed, like Chris Candido kind of thing.
This is reinventing the wheel. This is the ultimate reinventing the wheel that doesn't need to be reinvented. You just need to tell the guy the finish, give him a promo, give him the bullet points, and let him be what he is. Because you know what you could have got? Even after that loss to Kurt Angle with the tap out at the end, Joe was just as over somehow, the way I looked at it. All you had to do is let him go. But you're right. Creative or the company or management or even Dixie think that, hey, if I put my spin on it, I can take credit for it. And then Joe is a superstar. And somehow they translated that Mike Tyson face tattoo into this. That's my only thing I can think of.
They were doing like fire spinning and stuff like that, made him super. Here's the thing, I don't know if this is how I'm remembering it differently. Do you remember when Umaga was in WWE and everyone said the same thing? Rip off of Samoa Joe. They've seen how well Samoa Joe's doing in TNA. They want their own version. And then some reason that flipped round and then Samoa Joe started like going into the Samoan culture and whatever and then started imitating Umaga a bit more. Am I misreading that or...
Yeah, he had a knife in his mouth or something, right?
Yeah.
Well, I looked at it this way. The boys joked about it saying that WWE had the full budget for face paint and TNA only had about 20% budget to paint the face. That's what it looks like, right? You couldn't afford to paint the guy's whole face. It was so dumb. But this proves that WWE can shift that and flip it around and make it look like they were original because they did it right.
With this being said, I want to get your opinion on this. It just felt, and this is my opinion, Dixie Carter at no point, and I've spoke to guys from TNA throughout, TNA originals, and I always get the same impression. Dixie couldn't have given a crap less about the homegrown TNA stars. She wanted the WWE imports, regardless of whether they wanted to be there or not. And Dutch says the same thing. He could tell the people who want to be there, and the people from WWE who always had an eye on going back. And to Dixie, it seemed to make no difference. It's like, well, they've got cachet, they've got a name from WWE, therefore they are far more valuable than an AJ Styles or a Samoa Joe or Christopher Daniels or whoever you want, or Motor City Machine Guns or whoever you want to say. And that was like, it's like WCW. It was the same as WCW for my taste. I mean, did you get that same impression? Because she would pay the WWE and ex-WCW guys great. She would pay the homegrown talent. Yeah, nothing.
I said almost all the WWE guys.
But yeah.
So they didn't give a heck about me. Yeah, this is, if you want to criticize Tony Khan for getting new toys, Dixie Carter was the original one to get these new toys from WWE. That's why Randy Orton called Tony Khan Jacksonville Dixie one time, because Dixie Carter collected her action figures from WWE. She could go to her dinner parties, this is my assumption or speculation, and say, look who I got. Look at here, like the Vince McMahon belt squad. Hey, pal, look at this. But yeah, she was a mark. She was a money mark. Absolutely. And they for every bit that the guys would talk and try to pump up, say, a male promoter in a way, they would compliment her and make her, they would not wine and dine her, but I can't think of another term. They would just appeal to her in such a way to boost her ego up, even saying, you look great today. What are you doing in the makeup chair, Dixie? You don't need makeup. You know what I mean? And that translated into six-figure incomes.
I'd say, whoa, Dixie Carter, why are you getting out of that makeup chair? You're not done yet.
Well, see, that's why you're doing this show and you're never going to be in the business.
Yeah.
You're my estimation of a Sour Patch Kid.
With that, did anybody...
you know, by the way, did you know, the Dreamer, did you know? That's a new segment we'll do. Did you know? Dixie Carter had heat with all the knockouts. And she would spend hours and hours and hours in the makeup chair, whether she had an on camera or not. She would spend 4 hours in the makeup chair to sit in the front row during pay-per-views. And the girls would all be waiting.
Did she start doing that at Hardcore Justice, where she was in the crowd and like there was every shot in between every match was on Dixie Carter, and it just seemed like she just wanted a thank you Dixie chant throughout?
Yeah, I don't know if that was the first time, but that was the most notable time that she was in the front row. And yeah, that's all I can say. They kept shooting to her. And you know, the cameraman and the production people are the same way. We got to make her happy. We'll get her on camera. Remember, famously, also, I think Bubba or somebody had said, you should be on TV and you should go through a table and they try to pump her up and put her on TV.
Did anybody in TNA from when you were there have any foresight whatsoever as far as building stars for the future? It's because I ask this because they were building some stars just fine, even in the early days with all its faults. I mean, TNA always had a ton of faults, but they were still building stars like your Samoa Joe's, AJ Styles, and whatnot. And then
the
it just
entire
seemed
X division too. Let's not forget about that. The knockouts in the X division. What stood out about TNA?
Here's the other thing: why was Samoa Joe an X division champion at one point? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Why?
That was because he could work the style. Because he could work great with AJ and Christopher Daniels. Remember that?
It's 300 pounds.
I know, but I think the X division, in a way, they kind of got away from that. The X division had no limits. It wasn't a cruiserweight title. So a lot of times they would put guys in there, especially Joe was the first one, but they would do that. And think about it. AJ also was NWA World Champion. He was TNA World Champion, but he was also a staple of the X division. It's tricky. I'm not saying they did it completely right, but the concept and the theory of it was really sound. It's just I always thought the X division should have been the Intercontinental title type thing. If you carry that X division title and you really draw and you really do great work, you move up to the world title.
I always thought that a demotion for Samoa Joe, because it's always been, whether official or not, a cruiserweight belt, or mostly a cruiserweight belt in my mind, and I think everybody's mind. I always found that a demotion for Samoa Joe. He held it several times, but in 2009 he went back to the X division again. It's like in 2006 you were wrestling Kurt Angle. You were on his level.
Do you want to know why?
Go on.
Because creative had nothing for him, so they just wanted the easiest thing right there and put him back in the X division. Yeah, it probably hurt him, but it keeps him relevant, and we don't have to do too much, and we just let him go out there and do the X division.
I think that's why I never liked the Main Event Mafia. With, your Kurtz and your Kevin. Apart from the fact that it was like the Millionaires Club in WCW, which I always thought was one of the absolute worst storylines of all time. And I won't get into why. I'll explain at some point in the future, I'm sure. But it made no sense for all these guys to be together, other than the fact that they were the rich guys that Dixie were overpaying. But then they just completely saturate the main event scene, and then the guys that you built up over the years, like Samoa Joe, whoops, there you go, back into the cruiserweight division.
Yeah,
somehow.
You know what's funny about those gimmicks, too? They're so tone-deaf with no self-awareness. Because back then, I don't know about now because of the prices, back then, it was very much a working-class audience. Very much middle class, very much people that save their money to go to the show. They're not going to sit there and look and go, oh, my God, I'm such a fan of that millionaire. Oh, my God, I can't wait to see how they spend their money. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
I'm trying to think, Booker T,
the X
Kevin
division
Nash
was like the 10,000 Air Club because those guys were severely underpaid.
Why was Sting part of it?
Because they
the
were
Main Event
friends.
Mafia never made any sense to me.
Because they were friends. They were a bunch of rich friends that got together and said, yeah, and how are you going to beat that group? How's anybody going to beat that group?
But here's the other thing. It was a total joke because their theme song was like the Godfather rip-off zither music as well. So it's like you couldn't take it seriously. And then
I think the Sting thing wasn't a Sting thing like, I'm a babyface and I don't agree with you guys, but I'm rich too, so we're a team.
Maybe Tony Gurria put them all together. You're a millionaire. You're a millionaire.
I looked at you're all with Morgan Stanley. You're a team.
Man, anyway.
Big shout out to my cousin, Morgan Stanley.
Right then, you discussed Samoa Joe on the Old Analysis channel, specifically the Pepsi Plunge spot at AEW All in Wembley 1 that I was at, in fact. I was at the bar when that happened, because I didn't realise they were doing Samoa Joe and CM Punk first, which I found really annoying, and then I just turned up for the end of it. Did you ever work Samoa Joe, is actually what I should be asking first.
No, I always wanted to work him, but I never got an opportunity to work him.
Okay, I guess someone who knew him a little bit, never worked with him. How would you evaluate his wrestling competency and working style, and a main event working style specifically as well?
Well, I think what made Joe stand out to be able to do, and that's why I guess it was also a double-edged sword in a way, or a double-edged knife in your mouth, if you want to use that term. But Joe was a big guy, but he could wrestle with the light ROH guys. He had the same style, but then you bring in a big guy like Kobashi or other people from Japan, he could wrestle that style, but still incorporate high flying, enziguris, stuff off the top, running. He was the one also to do that power slam, much like Randy Orton. I think he was the first one to do it before Goldust and Randy Orton, remember? Just that that quick rotation power slam. So Joe was an outlier. Joe was probably one of the most special talents from ROH, and then, of course, that 18 months in TNA when he was undefeated. He was special, different. He wasn't a bodybuilder, but he could move faster than the guys that were bodybuilders or even the guys that were just skinny, light X division guys. He was more, I think, and I don't think it's people might think it's out of sorts or like too extreme, pun intended to say this. Joe was, in that era or those eras, a generational talent. Absolutely special. And TNA managed to paint his face up and put a knife in his mouth.
He was kind of like a pre-Keith Lee, but like better in every way, I think.
You know, he reminds me of, and it's just because of the body styles and what they could do, and even more special and talented Adrian Adonis. Adrian Adonis could do some impressive stuff at like 300, and his body types are not totally similar, but I'm just talking about a guy so big, you don't expect him to jump up standing enziguri, like without any help, without you like holding the left leg for the right. He would just do it. Like my favorite spot Joe would do would be charging in for the elbow, boom. The other favorite one was it's called the nope, where you just walk away. To me, that's like Joe just has such an edge to him, but can work. And if you know Joe as a person, at least back then, also a really friendly, disarming guy, an easy guy to get to know. So I'm not like his character, but he would never expose that too much back then. You wouldn't know about it. I was a little scared of Joe. I was like, dude, I don't know if I can hang with this guy in the ring. Then he starts talking about video games. I'm like, oh, you're lulling me into a false sense of security. I know you're a killer. Stop it.
What was his best game?
Well, we all played Madden, but he would play a lot of RPG games, like where you put dozens upon dozens of hours into that.
To wrap this up, I guess, I mean, decent promo as well, tons of credibility. But the thing is, he didn't have as much credibility as someone like Brock Lesnar, and it always seemed that the first thing that WWE would do when they got him out of NXT, shove him against Brock Lesnar, make sure he loses at Great Balls of Fire, the world's greatest pay-per-view name kind of thing. Man, even in WWE, I thought World Championship material. And he has been an AEW World Champion. But I just think, man, over 20 years, people have scratched the surface with Samoa Joe. Still, he could be more.
I'll tell you what, I would have paid money to see Joe versus Brock in a series of matches before Brock versus Goldberg. Those are opposite ends of the spectrum. Joe and Brock could have had a hell of an angle. Joe and Brock could have had a storyline. Joe should have been world champion, 100%. The AEW world champion thing didn't really, it was like the bloom was off the rose, and it wasn't Joe's fault for that. But when he came in, him and Brock, him and Roman, him and other people, I wanted to see him work people like Taker, Triple H, all that stuff. He had a bunch of matches and storylines in him that they never pulled the trigger on.
Dude, Joe was a sub to win the AEW World Championship because MJF was hurt. So basically, he just got wedged in there. He happened to be the next challenger.
He's like the understudy for the finish. That's what he is. He wasn't the first choice.
Yeah, I don't think he would have been first choice, but he just happened to be the challenger. MJF was hurt. He had to go. And then he held the belt for a short while till I think Swerve won, defeated him for it. And Joe is still wrestling for the world title against Adam Page, but Adam Page beat him clean. And to build up for a rematch, Samoa Joe then had to turn heel. So I guess there's added intrigue a little bit there, but like you've already told the people that he's not as good as Adam Page, so therefore you got to. It's like, man, seeing them two together, I'd back Samoa Joe all day long.
Is he on the retirement run right now?
I hope not, but he's been doing this over 25 years. I suspect.
No, but I thought there was a story about him saying he was going to retire in a year or something like that, or do like or hopefully I would do like the Daniel Bryan or the Bryan Danielson thing, dude. Why do you need to turn heel on Adam Page? Why can't, if it's sports-based entertainment, like Kurt and Joe? We didn't care who the heel or the babyface was. It was two badass, competent workers that I wanted to see fight. What's wrong with that?
The Samoan Submission Machine recently revealed that he'll be retiring from in-ring action once his contract with AEW is over. So, yeah, not too long. There you go. That he's got left in the ring.
Joe, if anybody, deserves an absolutely unblemished run to retirement. Joe deserves to go on another undefeated streak. So that'd be great. Bookend the opening of his TV career, which was basically TNA, right? Where he went on an 18-month undefeated streak. End his career undefeated on a streak and piss Goldberg off. How's that? Aha.
Absolutely. Aha. Absolutely wonderful.
You love that part, huh?
I told that you in the Patreon. I said that to you in the Patreon earlier. It's like, oh, Samoa Joe's got an 18-month winning streak. Don't let Goldberg here.
Yeah, that's where I stole it from. But I'm bookending out at the end of that. I give you credit. Stop. Subscribe to the Patreon.
Right, so the last segment, TNA base, because we've got quite a bit of news to go through as well. Our classic ranking game or system, how we're doing, we're going to do the nicest wrestlers in TNA, and this is going to be a part one. edition. Part 2 will be coming up in a future episode of a TNA, Aha, Take a Drink, all that kind of thing. And the first name that's going to be coming up here, very briefly as well, we're going to do the A to D thing, but if there's a not applicable or you just don't know them well enough to give them a grade, then it's just going to be NA and we're going to move on. The first name to bring up here is somebody I don't think we've ever spoken about on the show, yet one of the biggest stars in wrestling, the man they call Sting.
Okay, so Sting starts out at a B only for the fact that I don't know the guy that well. Anytime he's very cordial, very nice, very courteous, hello and goodbye, maybe 1, 3, or 5 minute conversation here and there. I never got to know Sting, but his reputation precedes him. So I put him at a B and I don't put him higher because I've seen him deal with people. I've seen him be very generous. We see him be generous right now with Darby Allin's career, still kind of fostering, mentoring, and of course trying to get his son into the business. That might put him down to a D right there, but trying to get your kid in the business. But I have never heard a cross word about Sting at all. So I'm going off reputation, very limited. So the C would be neutral, like I'm not quite sure it's been up or down or whatever, but Sting goes up to a B there.
Were the, I guess the big name stars in TNA, were they generally more accessible than they would be in WWE or WCW, for example? I mean, there were no private locker rooms, were there?
No, there were. There were private locker rooms. Yeah, not really private, but we had the production office. You had the trailers. You had 2 trailers, and guys would have their little cliques in the 2 trailers to get dressed and everything. Then you would go down a hallway. To the right would be the bathrooms where you shower, go down the hallway a little bit, and that would be where they either have production meetings and stuff like that. But it was also Hogan and Bischoff were there. I think Sting had a room with them or somewhere close. Not that it was designated for that, but they would just take those rooms. You wouldn't see a whole lot of Bischoff, Hogan, Steiner, who else? Booker T wouldn't be in the trailers. Who else? Sting would be there back and forth. Those are the guys that know each other throughout multiple companies.
Next one, Matt Morgan.
Matt Morgan, I would say, is an A. This is a guy I still communicate with from time to time. I know he comments on some of these videos to clarify or back up what I say sometimes. But, Matt has made himself successful outside of the business. That's always great and inspirational. He's always very nice. And, he's a guy in TNA. They kind of started to do the blueprint thing the way it should be done because WWE didn't do any favors with that stuttering gimmick or anything else. So he's kind of coming into his own with TNA, but it just never, I thought he'd go back to WWE, to be honest with you, after getting over in TNA, because he's 7 feet tall, has an athletic background, but he ended up making a life for himself after that. We don't talk a whole lot these days, but there was a time where we were texting back and forth and talking. I think he still talks to people like Russo and other people like that. So hope he's doing well.
Do you know what's funny is the saw how well the stuttering thing went for Goldust and thought, you know what, let's bring that back. Matt Morgan, come over.
We need a bigger stutterer in the company. Come here.
Yeah, 6'6" wasn't tall enough. We need a near 7 foot guy now. Christopher Daniels.
Can I do my preliminary Mount Rushmore list already on the second name? He's an ass. He's an ass. We don't talk that much, recently in years or whatever, but there was a time, especially in WWE, in my lowest points and stuff, I would talk to Chris almost every day, and he was one of the people that really wanted me in TNA, and I wanted to be there with him in TNA, and he was always really a good friend back then, and I think he's head of talent relations now in AEW, correct?
Yeah.
So it's good to see him still in the business, making money, making a full-time living. I had visited him and his family a couple of times when I was with WWE, when I went out to California, and they were just a great family, and he's a great guy.
Abyss.
I would say a B. Really nice guy, but never really got to know him too much outside of the actual angle and working with him. That's the only thing that disqualifies him from an A or an S. His reputation, obviously, as being a very nice guy, almost to a fault, precedes him. You could see an Unreal. That is Chris. That's Abyss. Trying to please everybody, trying to make everybody happy, doesn't want anybody mad at him, and definitely one of the nicest guys in the business. So I give him a B.
I can't remember if we included this fella. I don't think we did because I wanted to save him for TNA. But the worst Madden player of all time, AJ Styles.
He's a D. Absolutely. Triple D. Now, AJ and I were friendly at one time. Aren't really friends now. I don't really talk to many people in the business. Even before we started the show, I was pretty much out in my own desert or island. AJ's a super nice guy. I sometimes never knew what I was getting with him because he's a very emotional guy sometimes. I can understand that. As far as his push, remember all the stuff when he left TNA because they offered him, 40% what he was getting before? So that frustration might have carried over into our friendship other places, but he never verbalized that frustration. But I would still say I was never as tight with him as Chris Daniels, but I would say it's a B. I mean, I would say A or S, but just the Madden, the subpar Madden plays got to knock him down a few notches. It really does.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Scott Steiner.
Oh my goodness. You never knew what you were going to get with Scott. And then sometimes I know he's kind of like, who did I say was Sabu? Unintentionally funny in a lot of ways, if you knew how to interpret it. And for many years in WWE, I did not know how to interpret Scott. But I have to give him a C just because I never got to know him. Never. Actually, it might be non-applicable in a way, but I did get to know him a little bit when we worked together. I mean, when he squashed me, we didn't really work together. How's that? But let's just call it a C just because it's neutral.
James Storm.
I would still put James at a C because I never really got to know him. We called that match together for the EV2 Fortune thing, which was an absolute nightmare. I'm not going to lie to you. Him and Bobby Roode were guys that always needed to get their stuff in, and they got their stuff in because they were figured in, heavily. But it was never fun to talk a match over with those guys, but I never not got to know them personally. So I would just say C. Nice enough guys, both of them. So put Bobby Roode in there as well, since that's next. Same experience.
Angelina Love.
Never got to know her personally too much. She was always very nice, so I'd say a C. Now, Velvet Sky knew since the Indies. Both lived in Connecticut. I would say she's one of the nicest girls out there, and I would put her at probably, based on how I got to know her and the people around me, like Ron Zombie and other people, independent workers, I'd put her in A.
Samoa Joe,
I'd put it at a B. Got to know him somewhat, not quite as much as Chris. Always very nice, always very funny, not very Samoa Joe-like is what you see on TV. Super nice guy, played video games, a little bit silly in a good way back in the locker room, but never got to know Joe on a one-to-one friendship level like that, like I did with Chris.
Samoa Joe, I have to ask, I know this is before your time, but did you ever hear the story of the Kevin Nash and Samoa Joe confrontation?
Yeah, I think I was there in TNA for that. Or no, I wasn't.
I thought it was the year
wasn't in
before.
there. I wasn't in there for that. No, I remember the backstage thing between them after he cut the promo about Scott Hall, correct?
Mm-hmm. I think Joe had a point. Do you know what I mean?
Well, there's a truth in both of what they said and did, or the presentation or the timing. I'm not getting into that. But yeah, it was something it happened, and I think it was squashed immediately after that. Am I off base with that?
Well, it depends on whose story you say, but I believe quite soon afterwards, yeah. Kurt Angle. And obviously you wrestled Kurt Angle, a terrifying prospect, I guess, especially if you're Danny Doring.
Don't look up. It's a terrifying prospect, and it's also just as terrifying if you're friends with him. I never considered Kurt to be, and don't take this the wrong way, because Kurt actually, one of his publicists actually responded when I said he was one of the nicest guys I've ever met in the business. That's still true, but I was never a friend of Kurt's as far friend. See, the two things in wrestling, love and friendship, are so over-exaggerated, and these words are used very loosely. I was friendly with Kurt. He was one of the friendliest, nicest guys you could ever meet in the business, while also being one of the most deadly human beings you can ever come across in your life. So therefore, I give him an S. No, he's no, he's an A. He's an A.
Saying that now, this is no tales out of school. He's been very, very open with his struggles with addiction over the years. Between, I guess, knowing him or being around him in WWE and then comparing it to TNA, did his personality change? Because he was by his own admission heavily in addiction for a lot of his time in TNA, especially the early years. Was he harder to talk to, or was he zoned out a bit more?
The word I would use, and that was the thing in Gorilla that one time where he was so catatonically intense that I was like, we're effing dead. You know what I mean? But if I could say that, I think Kurt felt like he was on a prove-it deal. It felt very much like Kurt had a chip on his shoulder, not in a bad way, but he had something to prove to TNA, to WWE, to all the boys and girls, and to the wrestling fans in general. I felt that intensity and determination that was so much more bigger than the match he was about to wrestle. And maybe if his publicist can respond to this and give us some clarification, we can update you on that. I'm talking about overall. It's super nice. I would say, I think I said this the last time so uncharacteristically about Kurt. He's a sweet guy. He really, really is. Please don't beat me up. Just hug me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I asked Kurt before. I know there's some like swap over kind of thing here, but it doesn't matter. Jay Lethal. Man, I tell you what, I love Black Machismo. I love that character. I wish he carried on with it. I know it was a total... He somehow made it his own. I love it.
Yeah, and people still probably ask for cameos today to do the Black Machismo gimmick, or he does a ton of impressions. He does Flair, does Macho. I think he does a couple more. I put Jay...
Does he do Tony Gurria?
No, better not. Hey, what are you, smartass? He is a smartass. That's why I love him, because he's so funny. He's more funny than he is. He's subdued on TV compared to how funny he is in the locker room. I consider Jay to be a friend. Once again, never as close as I was or talked as much to him as I would Chris, but I would put Jay in the A category for that.
Nick Aldis. Do you remember what his TNA name was at the time? Yeah, Brutus Magnus.
I'll tell you a story about Nick Aldis. I don't know if he forgot it. I don't think he did. I put Nick, I don't know him that well. Great talent. Great to see him as an authority figure on SmackDown. Nick had the gimmick basically that was favored by Dixie Carter. She saw him on Gladiators on whatever was over in Britain, correct?
Yeah, so to explain, I believe he was a pro wrestler already. There was a revival of Gladiators that only went for 2 series on Sky 1. And it was a huge deal in the 90s. They revived it in like 2006, I guess, or somewhere around there. Kirsty Gallagher was the host. It didn't have the same personality. Gladiators has actually been re-revived over here a couple of years ago, but they kept it just like the 90s, same theme song, same everything, and it was a huge success. But the only person who stood out as a gladiator was Nick. He was the only one with personality. He was the only one treating it like it was sports entertainment.
Yeah, and then, well, he's back in wrestling, thank God. I wish, just in retrospect, he had just gotten RKO'd not long ago by Randy Orton. Everybody thought he was going to be the replacement guy at WrestleMania in Vegas. It turned out to be Joe Henry. That's fine. But, man, it would have been so awesome to see Nick have a WrestleMania moment, have a match, and people see what people who watched NWA, what people who watched TNA, and everything. And he's much better now. You know what I mean? I'm sure he can get in the ring and work. Same thing with Adam Pearce. But I remember in the trailer, the boys were kind of ribbing him, and I'm paraphrasing some of the things that were said. They put his 8x10 up on the trailer wall and were making fun of it. And I remember he had said something, kind of bit back on him or said something back and not taking it. You know what I mean? After a while, he said something back. Boys kind of looked at him funny. I remember following him out of the trailer, and I said, hey, dude, I just want to let you know, that's all jealousy in there. You're going to be an effing star. Take what they just said and all that stuff and shove it up right up their butt. And it wasn't anything that I said that could motivate him, but I've been in that spot. Like, what are you making the guy? I mean, obviously, Dixie favored him, had him put on TV, and he had to push off of that. The Office, of course, saw that he carried the ball as well. If he was strictly, well, Dixie thinks he's handsome or whatever and puts him on TV, you still have to know how to work. And even being green, I could see this guy's going to be in WWE. That's what I thought. He's a WWE wrestler. Never worked out that way, but good to see him on WWE TV.
Yeah, he's still one of the main characters. Yeah. I'm sure he'll wrestle
so
at some point if he wants to.
I only put him at a C because I don't know Nick that well. As a matter of fact, after all that Bruce Pritchard garbage, and everything, I actually text Nick about that, the Mickey James stuff. Bruce said something about Nick, and I remember it a while back, and I text Nick and said, don't listen to that. You're this and that. And he goes, whatever. He just rolled off. There was something between him and Bruce like a couple of years ago or more, if I can remember.
Yeah, he said that he thought that I was playing the part of a wrestler and not really owning it, which was like.
Was he an Impact when you were an Impact?
For a short while, yeah. But he was. But see, this is the part that's up about that, in that so they reference it from. I guess they're talking about some Impact show. And they referenced it was when I worked with Alberto, right? So I had actually left the company at that point. I just came back into, if you remember, because you were there, I came back to work with Alberto and because I was like, that was interesting to me. So I did it. Anyway, and Bruce basically says, oh, he doesn't have the it factor. He didn't have the it factor, blah, blah. Well, look, if he'd have just been talking about, Magnus, the JoJo character that's from TNA and when I was in my early to mid 20s, he would have probably been right. But it's Conrad then says, well, what about what he's been doing with the NWA and stuff? And he's like, oh, he's just playing the part, he's playing the role of a wrestler. He's not really. And I was just sorry, I got to speak on this.
You have the it factor.
If he'd left it alone, just the TNA stuff, I'd have been cool. But when he based it was obvious that A, he hadn't actually watched any of it, and B, that he was just trying to bury me. He was just trying to he went out of his way to take food off my table and up my value in the market, and I don't take kindly to that.
When did Bruce get to TNA? Was that while you were still there or after?
He was there when I was there. Yeah, and
fun
this
times.
was when Russo got him the job, and then 2 weeks later he was Russo's boss. So. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Right there, it's weaponized that way. His opinion, and I got to give credit to Nick. 25 years old, I couldn't have the guts to speak like that with that kind of confidence at 25. Think about that. Giving up that, it was probably good money, but Nick saw his value, and he had to go and start all over again and do the NWA thing, and now, thank God, he's making money with WWE. Hopefully him and Bruce have a professional relationship, and that's water under the bridge. I can know for a fact that Nick is the kind of man that can sweep it into the past. Let's not forget how they treated his wife. I never want people to forget that Mark Carano sent her belongings home in a garbage bag.
Yeah.
That's still the same company. I'm sorry. Still the same company.
There's a reason why he had the nickname Cockroach Carano, was that not right?
Yeah, I gave him that nickname.
Very good. Doug Williams.
Doug Williams, I have to openly apologize for the Stevie kick to underneath his nose and his mouth at Final Resolution. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know Doug that well, so I have to say a C. I'd put him at a B because of the one super kick that ended up hitting somebody.
Let's give him a B then, just as an apology.
Sorry about that.
Rob Terry. He was the big dude in the British Invasion who just never kind of went anywhere as well.
Rob Terry was my albatross, and not in a bad way. I'll explain why. Rob's, by the way, a B. Super nice guy, probably too nice. I was thinking to myself, too, if they're going to push Magnus at any point, Rob Terry's got to be you know what I mean? You're talking about Batista. He looks like Batista, with a crew cut or a short haircut. When I was at the point in my career when they were saying you're going to be like a player coach type of thing, where you're going to work people on Explosion, you're going to work when we do have house shows, you're going to work these people on house shows. I was going to be married to Rob Terry on house shows, Explosion, maybe some episodes of Impact, to help him come along, to teach him how to work, be relaxed, use his character, whatever that might be. They must have pulled that card out at least 5 times and it never happened. So he's my albatross, but he was super nice, super talented. I mean, what's that dude up to now?
Don't know.
Wow.
After TNA, I don't know if he did anything.
I thought for sure WWE would have signed that guy to at least do something in NXT. I don't know.
He stuck around until 2013 in TNA, went to OVW, what's the Menagerie? Oh, he went back to TNA 2014, 2015. Independent circuit for a few years, and then he quit in 2019. Just never had a major run anywhere.
Well, he definitely deserved it. He definitely did, just on looks alone. And he was safe. It's nothing Rob ever did to hurt anybody. I think just like you said about Dutch, if he could have give Rob Terry a simple storyline to follow with another worker with experience to follow, I mean, he could have been a star.
Next one, D'Angelo De Niro, better known as Elijah Burke, who, can I just also say, he's now working for the NWA now.
Really?
He just pops up here and there still. Yeah, he's still working.
Elijah's always been a guy that's been very political. I never got to know him super personal, but he's never bothered me. So I would have to put him at a C just for the fact in the new ECW, myself, Dreamer, Punk, Kevin Thorne, Elijah, we were all working each other for like, it felt like months in combinations, singles, stuff like that. Here's the funny thing, and I still joke with him. He knows exactly what I say when I see him at conventions, which I won't because I don't do them anymore. I remember we were talking this match over. It was the 4-way, like a 4-way elimination, then it went to a triple threat, then it went to a match, and the winner got to be #1 contender for the ECW title. So we had worked the 4-way. Before we worked it, I remember we were by these bleachers and it had the red light because they were going to do somebody's promo later. And I was standing there and we were talking. And by the way, Elijah and Kevin Thorne did not like each other. Watch the 4-way dance. And when they're throwing live rounds at each other. I'm just watching it like a fan as I'm selling. And they're fine now. Everybody's fine now. Me and Kevin used to kill each other as well. So we did it test style, the strong style. Mm-hmm. But I remember I was talking to Elijah and I'm calling these things and nothing was like getting over for me. I'm like, well, maybe we do this or that. He put his arm around me and he goes, he does the Toy Story thing. He puts his arm around me and he goes, Stevie, you need to see the big picture of this. I was like, oh, maybe you should explain. He goes, you're not figured into any of this. We're doing this and that. And I was like, I did my, like when people used to explain something to Hurricane that was so ridiculous that he would just stare off into space like this, like away from him, just deadpan. So I was doing that look. So then when fast forward, we were at a show where I was getting put, I think it wasn't Wildcat, it was somewhere else. And Elijah was coming up. He was a part of something. He was like, hey, Stevie, I was thinking about doing this, and the other thing. I put my arm around him and I said, Elijah, you have to see the big picture of all this. And he would laugh every time, but it was just my little back to him. He's harmless enough. Sylvester Turkay was not harmless. That dude crushed my ribs one time. But I would give him a C just because I never got to know Elijah outside of the business, but he was fine. But that 4-way, we need to watch it. If people want us to watch it, there's a lot of live rounds thrown in that match.
Madison Rain.
Never got to know her. I have to say, not applicable.
NA. Roxy.
Never got to know her. And /A.
Awesome Kong.
I definitely tried to be friendly to Awesome Kong for my own sake. Mm-hmm. She freaked me out so much that she had such a little mouse voice compared to what she worked. She was the sweetest thing. She wanted to beat up a Love Sponge one day. That was awesome.
Oh, dude. Future episode. You better believe that.
She wanted to badly. And nobody was stopping her. At least none of the boys. The Office might be. So sweet. And I used this for Joe, kind of for the same reasons. She could work Gail Kim and work Gail Kim's style at her size. A generation, I would dare say, a multi-generational talent, a transcendent talent. And I still wait for the day, I don't know, it's not going to come, for her to come back as Karma or Awesome Kong and do something.
No, I think she's, I don't know if she's in her like mid-late 40s now. I don't see her coming back now. It'd be such a 10 years too soon. Yeah, she's 48 now.
Oh,
so I don't think her comeback.
She could still outwork most of the people in the business, guys and girls.
Have you got a grade? Is it S because you're that scared?
Yeah, S stands for scared.
What's the grade?
The grade? I give her an A. Just because I did have conversations and I did put over, I was like, you don't understand. I'm sorry. Like, just like PJ, I'm a mark. I believed your gimmick out there. Now I'm hearing you talk and I'm just like, I would stare at her when she talked and she's like, what's wrong? And I go, I have no idea. I don't know.
Gail Kim, because you mentioned it before, Gail Kim.
Gail Kim, I would give a solid B2. Never got to know her as a friend, but such a nice girl in and out of the ring, even though she caused permanent hearing loss for her slaps. That's how much I like Gail. She destroyed my ear slapping me, and I still like her.
This isn't TNA, not
no WWE. One of her debut matches, teaming up with Val against Victoria and myself, she slapped me. And I said, please don't slap me in the ear, because everybody was doing it. Like, I was part of those mixed tag team matches. Trish, Jad, everybody's just killing me.
You mentioned these names before as well. Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin.
Yes. These guys are
both of
two
them?
of my favorites, yeah. Two of my favorites. Matter of fact, when I would tell the truth about the business in general or what's going on there or certain people or whatever, they would both say sometimes in unison and be like, I love you, Stevie Richards. I love you too, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. And then sometimes, and the funny part is I would reverse it a lot because always like Shelley and Sabin, but because I love Chris, I would say Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. Then when I turn around and say Alex, just let him have this one.
Dave Penzer. I nearly said Meltzer then, Dave Penzer.
Dave Penzer, he'd get a higher grade than Meltzer. But I never really got to know Dave. I would have to give him a C, but he was always very respectful, very nice, worked hard to announce, to make everybody look like stars or sound like stars with the announcements. So definitely.
Don West. Underrated commentator.
Don West, I believe, on a media front, on the TV facing front, is the sole reason that Dr. Stevie got as over as he did. Because he put over the Dr. Stevie character as somebody who thought Dr. Stevie was doing good. He was the best at being a heel commentator. He was so much better as a heel. I got to know him. Crash always told me he'd say Gem and 10 because of the old shopping network days when he sold the trading cards. He would say Gem and 10. So I would say Gem and 10 to him a lot, and he would laugh. He was a nice guy, and man, rest in peace to the guy that was also gone way too soon. I give Don an A.
I think it was so sad as well, and it's nothing negative to Taz because he was a really good color commentator as well. But man, Don West was the voice of TNA. I mean, it's sad that they couldn't have them both there, kind of thing. I guess.
Yeah, but also Don also would keep the crowd excited. Would throw T-shirts out, would do content. He would do everything he could. Jeremy Borash as well would do that. But Don would be the person to keep the crowd hyped up. He was the ultimate hype man.
When Don West threw the T-shirts into the crowd, did you ever notice Earl Hebner trying to get the T-shirts back from them?
Yeah, I mean, that was an unfortunate side effect of that, yeah. You'll never... Yeah, that's like your favorite go-to when it comes to merch.
Yeah, TNA. T-E-N-A-Y. Mike Tenay.
Yeah, Mike Tenay, almost TNA, but TNA plus an E and a Y. EY, Eric Young will be coming up.
Oh, that's terrible. I was going to say it's TNA with an EA, but it isn't. It's an EY. Yeah. Whatever. Mike Tenay.
So Mike Tenay, I'd have to put him once again in an A. I got to know him through WCW and TNA. Strictly professional, but I'd say friendly professional. But this is as far as the number of interactions that I have. And Mike and Don were in Taz too. Very receptive of, Hey, can you get this in? Because you're making the job much easier. Hey, when Abyss brings me up, to the commentary, like during that final resolution match between myself and Raven, him and the Mick Foley, I was screaming help in my ultimate raspy voice. And TNA was putting it over. These are the things that make me, those guys, like the referee's the third man. I think it's the first man, but that commentary team's right up there with it to get the talent over. And TNA did an exceptional. TNA's kind of like pre-Stevie Richards smartboard. So analytical with everything when he commentated.
With the professor himself. Yeah. A few more. Homicide.
Never got to know him, but I did work him on an explosion match. I was going to call it implosion because I went over again. As Dr. Stevie, I got to wrestle Homicide, and it was so much fun. He's always been cool. He's obviously one of those guys that kind of demands respect at the same time as well. And I believe Homicide should have done a lot more or made a lot more in the business. I'd still have to put him in a C because I never really got to know him.
Okay, then. 2 more names, and that's it. Taylor Wilde.
Very nice girl. Very nice girl. We worked together with the Monsters Ball with her and Daphne. She was always very sweet, very cool. And she seemed like a normal person, which is like weird in the wrestling business. But I didn't get to know her too much just within that, so I give her a B.
And to wrap it up, Tracy Brooks.
I absolutely give her an A. One of the sweetest people ever in the business. She was married or at the time dating Frankie Kazarian, so I got to know her through. It was Frankie, Joe, Daniels, AJ as the group. So obviously Tracy was there. Very, very nice. I love Frankie, although he's a natural born heel. I'd have to put him at a D. He's a nice, but she's definitely an A. Very, very nice woman.
I don't know why, but I didn't put Frankie Kazarian on the list for part 2, but I just have now, so I don't forget. Righto. So that's the end of this TNA sort of portion of the episode. There's going to be more future episodes, take drinks, all that kind of thing, coming up in the week. So we may have it next week. We may have a Roddy Piper episode. We might have the figures episode next week. Then in 2 weeks, we've got fan questions as well. Right, we have to move on with the news. Triple H. I actually put this as just massive attention whore. I put on this. Now, this is one of your favourite topics, Stevie. We've done it several times that Triple H has one giant mark for himself. This might be the pinnacle so far of what a massive mark Triple H is for himself. Now, you hadn't watched the WrestleMania 42 preview until I just got you to do that, just in a quick break that we had there. A few days ago, WWE was teasing a few seconds worth of footage of men's shoes. Some people thought that Gunther was coming back to the company, or it was a hype video for Gunther coming back. Some people thought Chris Jericho, for whatever reason, he's not synonymous with winkle pickers or whatever, best I know. But then wrestling websites all started reporting the same thing, that the footage was a bit more tedious in nature than, heralding the return of a wrestling star. Turns out that this was the WrestleMania 42 promo, which would be a few guys in a dimly lit sort of private room, back room, casino kind of thing. And it was advertising WrestleMania 42. You've just watched it. What was your first impression?
I must be becoming numb to all this stuff. I think it is a debuting or returning superstar. Triple H. Triple H is back, baby. He's back doing the voiceovers. He's back with the vignette. He is obviously the most important part of this. And I'm at the point right now, especially after the Saudi press conference, they're just playing with their toys. That's all they're doing. This is their pet project. This is to get themselves over. It's all there ever is and all there ever will be. I'm sure Brett loved it. It's one of Brett's favorite promos since the last Triple H one. I really don't care anymore. I don't. People that say like, oh, you just keep bringing him up and whatever. It's fun to do because he just can't help himself. It's obvious. He's lived long enough to become the villain now. We got the honeymoon period with 2022, 23, 24 with the booking. Now we're in 25. You can see it for what it's worth amongst all these top people in management, the executive decisions, all this stuff. Do it. It doesn't affect us. It just gives us a segment to laugh at. But this dude's coming back. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. If not for this one, definitely WrestleMania 43 in Saudi Arabia. By the way, when Triple H does the voiceover, Turkey likes that.
Do you ever see that Simpsons episode, Radioactive Man, where Mickey Rooney flies in and he's I could play that, and then all of a sudden he's doing Millhouse's Jiminy Jillikers because he's meant to be Fallout Boy. I'm sort of thinking Triple H is Mickey Rooney. It's like he sees a space and he gets the gig for himself kind of thing, because he's opening pretty much every major pay-per-view at the beginning, Are You Ready kind of thing. He's doing the voiceover for every package they do. He is now front and center of the WrestleMania 42 promo. If you find...
As he voices it over.
He's in the image of the post, not even the video. You need to... Google it now. Google the WrestleMania 42 image and see how front and center it is.
I don't see anything wrong. How dare you? How dare you, sir? How dare you? He's the king of kings. He's the game. He's the beast. No, that's the R guy. Okay.
We're both...
you keep going.
I'm trying to find it as well. I'm going to show it for the camera for everybody. Here we go. Whoops. So the Footsteps Mystery. He's even more front and center than you think. Look at that. It's like, do you remember that painting with all the dogs playing poker? That is basically what it is.
Do? On every match, say they have, I don't know if this is the exact one, but say they have right here, the belt, put Triple H to put his face on all the championships. How's that? Oh my God, he's going to do it.
I think he will.
He's going to do it.
Right, okay, so there was the theory that, Triple H is trying to be WWE's version of Dana White, right? Dana White's a really good promoter. He's a turd of a human being at the same time. Both things can be true at the same time. Dana White never put himself in the posters for the... Why is this... I'm not even sure it's an ego thing. I'm wondering if this is like a self-survival tactic to get himself so integrated with the promotion that they can't get rid of him because he's worried about something. But why is he in the middle of the poster? He's not wrestling.
That is a viable theory. I really do believe that. I think he's just trying to make himself indispensable that you cannot get rid of him. That his absence, even at this point, and he keeps ramping it up. But I'm going to say the same thing I said about the Taker clout thing when we did that video and people watched it. It might not even be Triple H volunteering himself for this, but people that want to be politically favored by him saying, Hunter, that was a great voiceover. You need to do it all the time. You really think so? You know what this WrestleMania 42 promo is missing? Triple H. Hunter, get in here. No, this is about these guys. No, you need to be front and center. You're the game. I'm shocked to even let Paulie in his orbit right around him. He was right next. I mean, that's standing too close to the sun. Come on, man. So we're having fun with it, but your theory about him becoming so indispensable that if he's gone or if he's off TV or if he's fired or if they move on from him, it's going to be noticeable. Think about that. I don't know. And it doesn't bother me one way or the other. As a matter of fact, now it's entertaining. This is the ultimate Where's Waldo? Well, he's right up front. Every single video. There he is. I think it's great that he can be a ventriloquist and you can hear his voice as he's not talking. He's just standing there. He's in two places at once. I'm losing my voice with excitement for WrestleMania 42.
Do you remember when Paul Heyman turned on CM Punk and it was a very bitter storyline? There they are in the same room. With Brock Lesnar and Cody and Roman.
It's great. I mean, these are very mature adults. They can all get along. I would have loved it. Remember back in the WWF days where the guys could never get along when they did a commercial? But they got up and started brawling. And Brock F5 somebody, or F5's Paulie onto the table.
Or Booker T and Batista.
And Hunter pedigrees everybody, including Cam. Remember, there's a British clip with the guy in the backyard slapping everybody. You remember?
No.
Like the kids are fighting over something, and the kid pushes the other kid down, and then the guy slaps the little girl. They're like, what are you doing? Slap, slap, police show up, slap, double slap. That's Hunter. He's going to be in that next. It's a British comedy clip. I don't know what it is.
I've probably seen it, but this one, I don't know, man. Ego's out of control. What can you say? I mean, but we knew it.
Do you think he's going to say, do you think that the day's going to come when he does an opening and he says, "Are you ready?" that they all boo him?
Do you know, oh man, in the run-up to Saudi Arabia. But the thing is, he's the first person you see on the show. You're generally excited to see the first star. But here's the other thing. He's not on TV every week. He's not a character. He's not a consistent character. So I just don't know why they're just using that, real estate space on the poster for him. I mean, I do, but
Well, I mean, whenever they go to Saudi Arabia, I can't wait for the Money in the Bank match when it has 13 briefcases.
I want him wearing a dish dash. I want him wearing the whole white outfit. I want him only on
that's
the
the
poster.
promo.
Oh.
Yeah. Sheiky H. The Iron H.
He needs to grow the big freaky mustache back, twirl it up a little bit.
Oh, they're going to dress them all up. Trust me.
Because Turkey likes that. Enjoy the show.
Yep.
Oh, dearie me. Right, okay, 2 more bits. Well, actually, it's 3 more bits because I forgot to put 2 what went wrong, so I only put 1 down. But this is one more.
You're going to call him Triple Shaky.
Triple, I don't know, he could be many things.
Turkey. No, Turkey.
Well, it's because he likes it. Okay. Goldberg complains again about Asuka. I just like... Stevie.
Can you get my surprise look in the thumbnail for this?
Go ahead. What is Goldberg... What kind of dog food is Goldberg eating at this point to have him like so out of touch with reality at this point that he's obsessed with other people's winning streaks like he invented them? Let me give you the quote.
What was your streak? You won like what?
170 something.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Well, I mean,
Nobody's ever going to beat that.
they already did.
Who did?
Some girl at WWE. They did it on purpose.
No way.
Yeah, I have nothing against the girl by any means, but yeah, the whole WWE experience was always, because I was a part of WCW when we were kicking their ass in the Monday Night Wars, and I didn't know what was going on at the time. I was just on one of the sides, and now one side dissolved and the other one consumed everything, and so they can treat everyone and anybody, everything the way they want.
Right.
And I think there's always going to be the not the stigma, but there's always going to be the burr in their ass that I was part of a company that, in a very short period of time, I was the champion and we were beating them in the ratings.
He has a point there. He has a point with how they treated Sting, etc. But he's got a real issue with anybody else having a winning streak other than them, and he takes it very personally, apparently. Why?
Because he's a mark. Is that the simple enough solution? All I can picture, I've seen Bill, I call him Bill Goldberg, for Bret Hart. Bill Goldberg. How's that? So
Apparently he hated being called Bill.
he hated it. I don't
And
know
that's why Bret did it.
We appreciate Brett. I know that hopefully he thumbs up all the Goldberg videos. But I can picture this. Please picture this, everybody who in 2025 is struggling. I don't know anybody in 2025 that's not worried about the economy, their future, their investments, feeding their families, the cost of living. I'm putting it all in context because Goldberg, in this vein, this is what I picture. Because this is all his interviews. Him sitting in a garage much nicer than any home I've ever owned, with a sea of classic cars that are washed, waxed, in perfect mint condition that he probably never drives, and him in a gym that's nicer than any gym or house I've ever owned, sitting there doing an interview, overlooking, last time I checked, he lived in San Diego in a beautiful mansion overlooking the mountains in California. Beautiful, perfect weather every single day. Oh, I'm so miserable. What? What? You're a mark. Stop it. Bill Goldberg.
Love it. Do you know what? Like, and the people say that Bret's bitter. Bret's right. I don't get it. Okay, right.
Well,
let's go. Let's take it back again.
Bill Goldberg during TNA when Samoa Joe is on his undefeated streak.
Yeah, well, we mentioned that. Oh, he's been undefeated for 18 months. That was a direct shot to Goldberg. Tatanka had an undefeated streak. That must have been a direct shot.
He wasn't even right. He wasn't even a football player yet. He wasn't even with the Falcons.
I know. Look, right. Winning streaks have happened throughout wrestling history. From Lou Thez and before, way before Lou Thez. I mean, he was undefeated for like 10 years. Hulk Hogan was undefeated for Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant. Ryback after the fact.
Bruno.
It's a common trope in wrestling.
Call off. Superstar Billy Graham to an extent. Bruno had Bob Backlund. Oh, he had the title for like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do?
Complain about on a podcast?
Bill Goldberg. I'll tell you what, that Al Dandy's a jam-up guy.
And Hypnosis as well. He's a great wrestler.
I watch him say Bill Goldberg. I like Bill as a person. I'm maybe he doesn't like me now, but you know what? You got to learn how to laugh about these kinds of things. You got to lighten up. Bill, you're going to have a heart attack if you keep paying attention. Don't watch the product. Don't care. You could literally just say, I feel like signing my name for an hour, and somebody's going to hand you a bag of money. Dare I say, you're more over than Asuka. And WWE, you know what? They do have a bird in their butt. You know why? As Asuka is a heel on Raw, on the same episode, they paid tribute to a heel that had 10 years in WWE. So you know what, Bill? Guess what? But sorry, Bill Goldberg. You know what? They have a bird in their butt for you, and they are selling for you. Take it as a compliment that they're still trying to get under your skin. But guess what? They are getting under your skin.
In that WWE Raw just this past Monday, they did this like tribute video to Asuka, and they actually mentioned the win streak that she had as well. That's probably not a coincidence.
Oh, they totally did it. They totally did it.
You know how you say about certain people, including one name we're not going to mention, actually, that I nearly mentioned, but I'm not going to. Some people, as you said in the wrestling business, really think these wins and losses dictate, one, the value of the person behind the performer, I guess, and, you know, your hierarchy within. Goldberg seems to believe that more than anyone. It's like he thought his streak was real. And I tell this people when I did the research, his fake streak that people allowed him to win matches. One, he lost matches at first. Then when the streak started, it ended at 8 because he went to a no contest with Disco Inferno. That means the streak is dead. It's not a winning streak, it's a not losing streak. And it doesn't matter anyway because the streak was fake. Why is he so protective over a streak that only existed because a booker decided it existed? And 2, why does he think he's got like a trademark over winning streaks ever since? That's the thing that I don't understand.
All right, let's put this a wider field of view. That's my new saying now, besides context. The thing is that the marks are in the office and wins in the, hey, I haven't won a match in months. That's a real thing. So Goldberg is a victim of that. A lot of guys are victims of that because that is the system. If you do too many jobs and you don't have somebody the next week giving you a promo trying to protect you, you get over certain ways. And trust me, but Goldberg could work, but how much did Goldberg talk during that time? How many promos did he do besides you're next? The more Bill talked, the more Bill talked, actually the less over he got. The mystique started to go away. So it didn't do any favors. So jobs did matter for Goldberg because the company made wins and losses matter for him. So let's be fair about it. Bill Goldberg. Never get old.
Yeah, but
until he and by the way, when I wrestled Bill, the finish of a shoot versus a predetermined match would have been the same. So that was real. The way that's the one part of his winning streak that was real.
Why let people get under your skin?
Because
why make it so obvious if nothing else?
Because you're a mark. We all all right, let's put it a different way. I say mark because it's a very general term, just like the jobber term. Bill took a lot of pride in his work. Brett took a lot. Actually, Brett Brett and Goldberg are very similar. I'm not talking about wrestling styles or anything like that. They both cared a great deal about their character, their brand, the way it was presented. We need to give them that. Now Brett hates us. Sorry, Brett. But it's the truth. I have a lot in common with Goldberg too. You know what? We both were born and we both live on the planet Earth. He may live on a different planet now, but should we say Planet Goldberg, like Planet Stasiak?
Oh, I know why you brought up Sean Stasiak.
Why did I?
Because I sent you a picture of Sean Stasiak recently, didn't I?
No, well, you did, but I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, it was in context of something completely different, but I happened to mention him a few
Very
days
nice guy. He goes on a nice wrestlers list.
He is very nice
guy.
Sean as well.
Very nice guy.
Okay, the main event of the show is now upon us, the What Went Wrong segment, but it's actually What Went Wrong segments. Both happened on WWE Raw this past Monday. Both involved women's matches. One was the main event, one was halfway through. But we're going to go to the main event first, and this concerned a spot between Alexa Bliss and Lyra Valkeria, and it's something that I'm not sure I've ever seen happen before. So, Stevie, what went wrong? How did it go wrong, in fact? Well,
we're going to see. By the way, I completely forgot about this spot and the match and Monday Night Raw, like basically 5 minutes after the show. So very memorable Raw. All right, so let's go right here. Let's see this poor Lyra, I call her Lyra Velcro because that's what Vince calls her. This Lyra girl has bad luck each and every week with these things. Let's see what happens here. Okay. What? What in the world?
Have you not seen this?
I don't remember. I watched it. She got her hair stuck in the upper part of the outfit there, right?
Hmm.
It's like this poor girl is just cursed, isn't she? What a nutty thing. How did this even happen? I should turn her. My assumption is her ponytail is stuck right there. So we gotta do a proper red for what went wrong. So right here. So let's just slow-mo this. Oh, right there. She must have like I have my ponytail holder. She must have some kind of beret, or however you pronounce it, Philly accent, that got caught as she turned under the lip of the shirt. But yeah. The worst part is you're trying to get out as you're pinning her. You're not holding her down for the pin. You stopped hooking the legs. So you want to get out. You both want to escape the pin. And then, obviously, the worst part is there's a save coming in as you're stuck. So here we go. 1, 2, and kicks her right in the ponytail. Did she lose that? No. Yeah, zoom in on Charlotte because we got a malfunction here. All right, she finally. Now, is this an extension? Does it come out? No.
No, Alexa Bliss had to take her top off. It's still in her hair.
So it's just she's wearing the shirt as a ponytail.
Yes.
Is it just me, or I don't mean to be mean? Why does this girl always look like she's crying? No, she's not, but here we go. I thought her eyes glitched out for a second. Just so weird. It's almost like this whole, I don't know. What do you do about the outfit thing? You know what I mean? It's not technically, I either got to wear a different outfit because it gets caught, or people to wear necklaces and stuff like that. Could you imagine that? Like having a necklace and cutting somebody? I'm sure it's happened. But yeah. So strange. I see her starting to like go right here to take the top off to get her clear. So weird.
Yeah, it took quite a while. I'm sure someone on the outside actually managed to clear it out of her hair soon afterwards. But man, are there any other dangers of having long hair in pro wrestling other than maybe overzealous wrestlers grabbing at it constantly?
Well, sometimes if I know I've had my hair stepped on when people made saves and stuff. I don't know if it was in intentional or accidental. Also, sometimes those spots with the hair, if you take a shoulder into the turnbuckle, I've seen people get stuck on the bolt there and just rip their hair out, trying to come back from the shoulder block into the turnbuckle or into the post. Yeah, this is nobody's fault. It's just the one we're wrong. But I just see a trend with this girl that she always seems to be in these spots or weird things where the feathers fly. It looks like a Botchamania episode every time she's in the ring. And she's athletic and she looks like she can work, but it just seems like she's always part of what went wrong.
With, oh God, that Becky Lynch match, if you remember from, I think, SummerSlam.
Actually, I do remember that now. With the head off the announce table type thing.
And the handcuffs that she actually put herself
she
back
got
in
out
when
of them,
they
but
popped
she
open,
put her wrists were still in there.
Yeah, or whatever it was. I don't know if it was handcuffs or like...
All right, we just named
restraints.
3. These are 3 in like, what? How many months? And that's what we've seen or noticed. Very weird.
What are some of the benefits, for people who don't know, what are some of the benefits of pro wrestlers having long hair?
The initial reason when I got into the business, I had shorter hair, obviously. Most people didn't have long hair or have the hairstyle they carried in their career. The main thing was 2 things, 1A, 1B. Number 1 is if you're talking, it covers your face. If you're telling somebody something, it can cover your face or mask them. The second thing is, watch when people with long hair get punched and they flip that hair back. That shows that you're not getting hit. Also, it gave more room for me if I'm punching, to not punch somebody in the jaw. I punched them in the hair. They flip the hair back. Here's the other thing. When you take a back bump, you tuck your chin, but I could still sell the back of my head because my hair's so long, it looked like it hit the back of my head.
Any more hair nightmares from you over the years? Because I wrote down an example. Not for you, but for someone else.
I remember, I was a big fan and still a big fan of Mr. Perfect. And remember when he wrestled Brett and Brett would wrap up his hair and give him that deal where he'd spin face first? I was like, oh, it'd be cool if you did that to me. Well, you got to let go at a certain point or else you're being pulled back in for an impromptu pedigree with your head going back towards the wrestler that tried to throw you. So I did the what be cool, and it wasn't cool in the end. And I lost a lot of hair.
Val Venus told me when I interviewed him one of the times, and I said, why'd you got your hair? Without, a loser loses their hair kind of thing. It seemed quite drastic. And he said, well, one day I got someone in a headlock or whatever it might have been, breathing heavy, and he breathed his hair right down his throat.
Yeah, he told me that. Yeah.
And he was just like, nearly puked everywhere, and then just said, I'm done with it. Cut it, the next week.
My wife always tells me I would look almost exactly the same because it's always behind me, the ponytail, and I don't know what my hair would look like short, but maybe that day will come. Maybe when we get together in person, I'll let you pin me in a loser loses hair match.
Right then, the last what went wrong of the day. So you'll have to switch videos, Stevie. Nikki Bella. It's I always thought, Sheamus or Gunther or whoever it might be the hardest hitter in WWE. Nope, it's Nikki Bella apparently. Unbelievable. I don't think... You tell me if you think this was selling or not, Stevie, but over to you. This is Nikki Bella, Roxanne Perez. Pretty much the first 2 moves that Nikki lands and nearly just basically cleans Roxanne's clock with both of them. So what went... Well, we know what went wrong, but let's watch it.
I want to talk about what went right in this match as well. This might have been probably the best match I've ever seen Nikki Bella work. We're talking about what went wrong. Maybe she's a little stiff with some... But she seems to have her pacing down, her gears. She's a little more comfortable in the ring. I'm sure coming back to the company after so many years, there's a lot of stress. So now that she finally gets it and she's becoming a competent worker, sorry about your release, Nikki Bella, because that's usually the way it works. Let's take a look here. Sunset flip, very good. Good sunset flip right there. And that's a slap right there. She's in the backyard, like I talked about that one dude doing the slaps to everybody. So she does a slap here. The ref checks on Roxanne Perez. Did she throw up an X?
Yeah, I thought that. She sort of hugs around, does the X very, very subtly.
Wow. It's like a Gail Kim slap. I combined words. That's my new thing, just to try to shorten and be more efficient. So what happened here? Is Roxanne trying to bait her in as a heel? It looks like it. Yeah, okay. I think she was watching the girl in Judgment Day do the big boot to Nikki Bella. Or Nikki Bella was watching it right there in her face and said, I need to receipt somebody else besides Raquel. But that's a hell of a drop kick. Yeah, right there. This is like a flying Stevie kick. It's like, how can I combine Kevin Nash's big boot with the velocity of Test, but jump up in the air like a drop kick and also throw it like a super kick all at the same time? And I don't want to miss. Well, Nikki Bella, you didn't miss. You didn't miss at all. There's the thumbnail right there.
Just play it through a little bit more because she sort of falls over head first again.
She's out on her feet. Oh, I'm not even going to let you swing this time, right? I'm just going to block you.
No, it's a nice fireman's carry.
The thing is with this, I know the spots they're trying to do, but they're so ill-positioned and ill-timed. They're trying to do this boom and back into a fireman's carry into an arm bar. But the spacing and waiting is just so disconnecting. Did you feel that?
Mm.
I mean, she felt the drop kick, that's sure. Let's do it slow-mo. Oh. That's one. This is one where the director doesn't have to say camera cut on impact. Just leave it because it's there. My goodness. And she's trying to get her hands up, and Nikki's like, no, that's okay. No, you don't need to do that. This Roxanne Perez girl has had like ups and downs like the Lyra girl, right? She's had some spots that have been pretty rough on her.
With people going out for a long time and then coming back in, do you find that these performers often are more stiff than they normally would be because either they haven't got their depth perception just right or that they're trying to prove something? Or what do you think it is?
Well, usually back in the day, you would go on house shows, go to OVW. You have weeks, if not months, to get your wind back, your timing back, all that stuff, make sure you're not going to hurt yourself and others. My assumption is that Nikki Bella, she's definitely practicing the drop kick at the Performance Center. She had to get in the ring and roll around for at least a couple weeks or more. And how many months has she been back? She's been working almost every week on TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is just trying to make it look good. And they made it look good, all right. But man, this poor girl. And if I'm to be believed with my speculation, that first sunset flip and whatever else, when they put the X up, she was grabbing her mouth. So I don't know what's going on there. That girl, the referee threw the X up. I saw that clear as day, right? Mm-hmm. Unless she waved it off. But that's a weird part of what went wrong.
There we go. Right. Okay, then. So, yeah, kind of amazing. I wonder if she's going to settle in a bit more and not kill people. But goodness me, that was a heck of a couple of strikes she threw.
Okay, let's put this in perspective. Nikki was accused before of everything looking weak and looking fake and missing. So maybe the office told her, you got to lay that in. Maybe they gave her some instructions. You know, you're missing a lot and you need to lay that in. And she listened. She took the coaching.
They gave the old test speech in ECW.
Strong style. Yeah, absolutely. I'd put that boot up. I'd put that boot up against Test any day of the week. I might take Test before that one, as a matter of fact.
Right, so well, no more boots for us. We're not taking any more boots because we're going to be shutting down the show for the week. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Once again, we will be out as per usual every single Friday on YouTube and on all podcast platforms as well, and a new fresh video on YouTube every single day. Or if you're including the shorts, twice a day. as well. So there you go. So I think it's only fitting that Stevie take us out as he always does, and thanks to Patreon supporters as well.
Yeah, first and foremost, I'm glad James finally got us under 2 hours, right?
Nope.
We're under 3 at least. So there you go.
Yep.
James is a trooper. We appreciate James. We appreciate everybody here on YouTube. Please subscribe. Click the bell to get notified. We have passed 148,000, heading towards 149,000 as we record this episode, and James checks the numbers off camera. I want to thank everybody at Patreon, patreon.com/Stevie Richards. Every Monday watch along, every Wednesday show notes, and also every Friday the show before the show, the pre-show, and also premium behind the scenes footage, especially since Raven, my God, or maybe Raven did. I have to look at his studio. Maven has upgraded the studio, so you know what I'm going to work on after I hit stop on this recording. I have to beat my good friend Raven, friendly competition. I said Raven,
again, man.
Good Lord, Raven's not my good friend. Friend of the show, though. Friend of the show. So we want to thank everybody at Patreon, everybody on YouTube, and everybody in the wrestling industry, because we have people within the industry watching this show. Thank you so much for watching episode 69 of the Stevie Richards Show. See you next week. For episode 70.